You are now listening to the Fantasy Whisper podcast with your hosts, Johnny, Game Time Hicks, and Big Travy.
Wow, hello and welcome to the Fantasy Whispers podcast, Mock Draft Monday special. Travis, how you doing, brother?
Doing great, Johnny. We're here, Mock Draft Monday. As you know, we are getting it down and getting into this Mock Draft Monday. Today we're doing a PPR, 12 teams, and we're gonna get into it with the football calculator, fantasyfootballcalculator.com.
And we are actually entering a room with a group of people, so we're gonna actually show you guys what other people are thinking, not just mocking against computers. We're gonna give you guys the real thing. So bear with us. We don't know how much time this is going to take, but this is going to be fun. We're going to see what people are really going to choose here.
Yeah, and like other mock drafts, there is that risk that somebody could throw this entire thing sideways, because sometimes that happens when you're mocking online. But we will try to...
We don't recommend that at home, kids.
Yeah, we try to not go into... a lot of these sites will give you the computer-generated versions. Those tend to be a little bit better, so you can kind of work around it. But we'll see. We'll see what the human aspect brings, and it might give us interest into doing it with some friends in the future. Some of the followers in the future. So,
yep. All right, and here we go. We're starting off. Make this. All right, let's see what we got here. Todd Gurley comes off the board first. Not a shock there.
No,
Travis.
Not at all. Like I think we've stated several times, we think Todd Gurley or Le'Veon Bell is an okay choice at the top. So now, Johnny, you are up with pick number 3. What are you thinking?
I'm going to go with David Johnson. I'm not even going to let this clock tick down and risk me not getting him. I just think his PPR value is definitely there. It's locked and loaded. Ezekiel Elliott kind of worries me as far as the PPR aspect of it.
Yeah, obviously in standard, I would be going towards Ezekiel Elliott, but we are in PPR, as Johnny mentioned, so why not go with the PPR cream of the crop as far as receivers are concerned, and mostly in general, and that's Antonio Brown.
Mm-hmm. You're taking Antonio Brown?
Yep.
Nice. I like that pick. I mean, I don't argue with that, especially in a PPR league. You're getting the best in the league. So then Ezekiel Elliott went right after you, Travis. Is that a surprise that he went before Saquon, or would you still go Ezekiel and even in a PPR league?
Yeah, I think I'm just more comfortable taking Ezekiel Elliott. We know what he's done. We know the percentage of the offense that they require out of him. We don't know what Barkley's role is. We know what they want him to be. We know what he projects to be. We don't know for sure. So if you're tossing between the two, I like Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, he's still got another offseason to work on his ball catching. So after Ezekiel Elliott was Saquon Barkley, then DeAndre Hopkins. I like that DeAndre Hopkins pick, especially at 7. I think that's a good value. Alvin Kamara, not upset with that either. Obviously, in a PPR league, he's going to be a monster. Leonard Fournette's a little surprising at 9 there. Would have liked to see maybe a Melvin Gordon or Odell Beckham Jr. They ended up coming off the board after. 9 went with Leonard Fournette. I just don't think he's as much of a receiving back as Melvin Gordon. But, that's to each their own, I guess. I'm just glad I'm not number 9.
I mean, I will say, Travis, we did touch on this before. We were a little worried about the people, drafting kind of awkwardly, but I mean, so far so good. It seems to be relatively what it would be like in a real draft. I think we are in here early enough where people are serious. If they're mock drafting now and this time of the year, most likely it's going to be real drafters that are really trying to get a sense of where players are going.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Johnny. We're getting like a little bit of the human element, just enough, that we saw with the Ezekiel Elliott ahead of Saquon and DeAndre, and then also the Leonard Fournette ahead of Melvin Gordon and Odell Beckham Jr. So we're getting some of that. Jerick McKinnon's a nice pick there. I was hoping he'd kind of fall back to me at 4.
And honestly, that's a great compliment to his Leonard Fournette pick.
Right. He gets to kind of hedge his bet there.
Exactly.
And he still went running back early in a PPR. So
I do like Hogs picking Michael Thomas right there at that 8th spot. So you get Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas. That's pretty nice.
It's a real nice stack, yeah. One of the rare situations in fantasy where you're okay taking 2 people from the same team is if they're both huge target share percentages like those 2 are. Christian McCaffrey, not surprised with that pick there. He's a monster in PPR for PPR purposes, and he kind of hedges his getting a wide receiver in the first round bet there by getting a guy who we know is the receiving back in his offense. And like we know, he led the league in targets for rookies last year.
And I'm letting our viewers know because we forgot to mention this. We are drafting from I am drafting from the number 3 spot, and Big Travy is drafting from the number 4 spot. So you guys can really get a sense of what it's like, what we think about with each other being right next to each other in picks, and you get to see, maybe some sniping or what our thought process might be. All right, so Travis, you went wide receiver in your first pick here. Are you thinking you have to get a running back here, or not so much because it's a PPR league and you can kind of find scraps near the bottom that'll be okay for PPR?
Yeah, I would think that if I didn't see Devontae Freeman here, I would maybe look at wide receiver. But because he's been a model of consistency at the position, and they still work him pretty well in the passing game, I like them to do that again and actually improve upon the numbers that Sarkisian had him see last year. They've been talking about it in training camp, and I like Freeman here. So I just got auto drafted. Never mind. I like Mike Evans. That's okay, though.
That day, I'm going to steal their Devontae Freeman because I really wanted him, and you were.
So, moral of the story is here, do not get in a draft where you only have 45 seconds to decide your pick.
Especially if you're trying to tell the people why you're drafting who you're drafting.
Yeah, no joke. So I got stuck with Mike Evans. I am okay with that. 41 targets in the red zone from the 20-yard line in last year led the league. So we could have easily said instead of 5 touchdowns last year, he could have got 10. I'm okay with Mike Evans.
So I'm really hoping Gronk will fall to me in this 3rd pick. This would be such a great steal for me considering my first 2 picks. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. One more. Come on. Fall to me,
I have
baby.
my fingers crossed that Gronk will leave here because I didn't get who I wanted last round. So Johnny shouldn't get who he wants. There he is. Congratulations to Hogs at number 2 for taking Rob Gronkowski. I couldn't think of a better team to get Rob Gronkowski.
All right, so in this case, I'm going to just sidestep here. And when I'm looking at which wide receivers, I want to go wide receiver. I think my 2 running back positions are filled here. And I've never been really super confident in Doug Baldwin. And Adam Thielen, I like his quarterback situation going in, considering he is moving to the slot more and more, and he dominates the slot. So Adam Thielen.
I don't mind that pick at all, Johnny. I think you did well there. He had a great amount of targets last year, and I like that. But for me, I'm going to go here, and we've had all this news about. I'm just going to draft him right away and then talk about him after. T.Y. Hilton.
Always go with 3 wide receivers first.
So I am going 3 wide receivers, and here's what I'll say I will. I was looking at running back, and the only guys left are Darius guys in this kind of realm are Darius guys, Derrick Henry, Alex Collins, Jay Ajayi. Guys that I'd feel comfortable drafting here for sure, but none of these guys are legit receiving options in their backfield. So what I do know is that I can wait because I see a couple of guys I'm not going to mention because I don't want Johnny stealing them. But I see a couple guys down here later on.
You get a pick before me, so
that's true. So I will speak a little bit. I saw guys like Sony Michel, Ronald Jones the second, Dion Lewis, Tarik Cohen. A lot of these guys are down there available.
So this is what you're doing to me right now. Whispers.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Giving you some knowledge here, Johnny. So pay attention. Anyways, like I was saying, we saw a group of like 5 or 6 guys that are receiving backs down here. So I think that I can wait. I didn't see tight ends. I didn't see Travis Kelce as being a must-have in the 3rd round. I think that I can make up some of that tight end play if I waited. So I am going to wait, and I'm going to go 3 wide receivers here. I think that all 3 of these guys are number 1 options. All 3 can be top 5 wide receivers, especially T.Y. Hilton's value is great here because Andrew Luck is coming back. As long as he's back and on time for week 1, T.Y. Hilton has been a boss when Andrew Luck is on the field.
Yeah, I actually do like that pick considering what your options were. I agree with your running back assessment there. Not really gems when you're thinking about running back PPR, and you could definitely get better value, I think, for your pick way later down the road. So, and you're getting a T.Y. Hilton, a guy that's a top 10 fantasy option when he has Andrew Luck behind center. Now, I know that's a big if, but like we were talking about, it's the word out of training camp has all been really good news, unlike the last year's news. It was more questionable. This year, he seems way more confident in the fact that he's going to play. So if he does, and I do expect him, and you expect him to play, T.Y. Hill, you could have yourself 3 top 10 wide receivers going into this year in a PPR standard league or a PPR league. That's great.
Yeah. So I'm okay with what I've done. I think I've sacrificed a little bit. And if you look at the running backs that are coming off, Derrick Henry, not a huge pass catching back. Alex Collins, in fact, was the one knock on Alex Collins was that he wasn't worked in the receiving game as much. Darius Geis is going to be giving all those catches to Chris Thompson. So if I'm looking at running back now, a guy that's down here that I like is Sony Michel, and he was the receiving back in Georgia. I think that his pass blocking ability will keep him on the field in New England, and they're going to live in scoring range. So I'm going to go ahead and draft the rookie Sony Michel and pass it over to Johnny to see who he's looking at.
All right. So because I set myself up in a pretty good spot here, I think now is an okay time to take a gamble on Mark Ingram, who surprisingly does catch the ball pretty well out of the backfield, and I can withstand him being suspended for the first 4 games due to the fact that I have David Johnson and Devonta Freeman on my squad. And I also like my options at wide receiver as one of them to fall to me. I like Demaryius Thomas. I really like Marvin Jones here as a complementary to Adam Thielen. Chris Hogan is another guy that should flourish. So Aaron Rodgers, Kenyon Drake came off the board, Demaryius Thomas, Brandon Cooks, then Aaron Rodgers, which is super realistic. Aaron Rodgers in round 5 is pretty great.
Yeah, I was eyeballing him if he came my way, that's for sure.
All right, so I'm going to take 17 seconds. I'm going to go Marvin Jones here. I just think that's as a good complementary to Adam Thielen.
Okay. So I am going to look at taking a rookie here again. So I'm going to go back-to-back rookie running backs. And I'm going to take Ronald Jones the second. He has been raved about as far as his ability and the ability to be a 3-down back for Tampa Bay. I like Tampa Bay to lean on the run more with the suspension of Jameis Winston. And I just think that if I have a shot at the new bell cow in Tampa Bay, I'm going to take him. And I think that Ronald Jones will kind of help me as far as some of the rookies, he may be one of the safer bets.
Mm-hmm. All right, then Lamar Miller went right after you. That's another guy that you and I have talked about on several podcasts about how we like him. Now, I am a little surprised he went after Jay Ajayi and Travis. You want to talk about? Sorry,
he went before Jay Ajayi. Jay Ajayi went after Lamar Miller.
Right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Travis, you want to talk about your thought process of taking Ronald Jones over Jay Ajayi?
Yeah, I looked at Jay Ajayi and Lamar Miller to be in fact, but Jay Ajayi is in a heated running back by committee. Darren Sproles will be back healthy. Corey Clement will be back there. And so Jay Ajayi will be their thumper, their pounder, their first and second down guy. Is he going to be there in a lot of the passing situations? I'm not sure. So that's why I kind of went away from there. Lamar Miller, he is a consistent between the tackles runner. He does catch balls. I'm not saying he doesn't, but not in the volume that I think Ronald Jones could be capable of if Tampa Bay really needed to lean on the run. So if Ronald Jones can come in there and take away the carries that or the catches that used to be there for Charles Sims and guys of that nature, I like Ronald Jones to be very productive in the Tampa Bay offense.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a gamble, but I feel like in PPR, it allows you to be a little bit more loose with your running backs if you want, if you get a stable of wide receivers, which I have done at the beginning. Mm-hmm. So I was afforded a little bit of flexibility. We'll see what kind of running backs are available when it comes back around to me here.
All right. So right after Jay Ajayi went Deshaun Watson, your boy, Dion Lewis, Jarvis Landry, Royce Freeman, Jimmy Graham, Tom Brady to end out the fifth. Then Chris Hogan, so trying to get that double dip opportunity for him. And then Russell Wilson, Michael Crabtree, then a couple tight ends and Greg Olsen and Kyle Rudolph come off the board. Then Tevin Coleman halfway through the sixth, followed by Corey Davis, then Carson Wentz. Travis, you are up. What are you thinking?
Well, for me, I'm going to go ahead and take Tarik Cohen here. I like Tarik Cohen's talent. So far, Matt Nagy has compared him to Tyreek Hill, who he coached in Kansas City. And I like the fact that they want to use Cohen all over. They're not just going to limit him to running back routes. They're going to put him in the slot. They're going to put him out as a wide receiver. So I'm excited by that opportunity. And what I'm doing now is just stacking guys with upside as far as my running backs are concerned. Because like I said, my stable, my core, my bread and butter are my wide receivers that I drafted 1, 2, and 3.
All right. So right now I'm trying to decide between Pierre Garcon and Jameson Crowder. I like both of these guys. I've been a big fan of Jameson Crowder, and I just think that with Alex Smith back there, he just really fits that mold of what Alex Smith likes to target. And so I think he's a very good pick here. Now, if Pierre Garcon falls to me in the second round, it will be interesting because I would like him, but I also like the opportunity to draft Chris Thompson, especially in a PPR. However, that's 2 Washington Redskins on my team, so I might go ahead and lean with the Pierre Garcon pick. Oh, nope, there he goes. And there goes. Well,
now we're talking about adapting on the fly because Johnny had 2 options and both options are gone now. So, Johnny, the clock is on. What are you going to do here?
All right. So, and I know that we've talked about I talked about this in my last video. 2 guys, Emmanuel Sanders and Randall Cobb, both projected in both of our eyes to see a lot of targets, except for I like the quarterback throwing to Randall Cobb more than I like the one throwing to Emmanuel Sanders.
Hey, Rodgers.
So give me Randall Cobb here, and I really am super excited about my wide receiver core now, and I can focus more on running backs.
All right, so because I went 3 straight running backs, I'm feeling a little bit of comfortability here that I can look elsewhere. And as I do, I see someone with a lot of upside. That, as you can tell, after getting the consistent 3 wide receivers, I went a little upside. I'm going to continue that trend with Evan Engram at tight end. I really like Evan Ingram's talent. They use him all over the field. You think about Pat Shurmur last year with Minnesota and the way they use Rudolph. You think about the way that Evan Engram is essentially a wide receiver playing the tight end position. I like Evan Engram in that offense with a running back now that will open up passing lanes for the tight end. So give me Evan Engram, and I can refocus again on running back maybe coming around the turn.
Definitely
one of those guys you mentioned, the guys you were in between. Emmanuel Sanders comes on after Evan Engram, then Delaney Walker, Devin Funchess, and then Cam Newton. I like that pick there. Cam Newton had a lot of value here. And then we're just waiting to round out the rest here.
Good old not waiting on the computer here.
Well, the good thing is that 45-second window there, so
right.
You can get in and get out and get on with your day because, these are essential. You want to get as many of these mocks in because the repetition is what helps you when you're stuck in between guys. And you know what else will help our viewers, Johnny, is our new YouTube special on Fridays, and that's Face Off Friday. And what we're going to be doing in that special is breaking down guys with similar ADP. So kind of like Johnny was stuck here with Randall Cobb and Emmanuel Sanders a little bit, we will then dive into the numbers, let's say, on an Emmanuel Sanders-Randall Cobb duo and kind of give you that aspect from each side so you can help you make your decision. So after Cam Newton was Marlon Mack, running back from Indianapolis, Carlos Hyde, excuse me, Kerryon Johnson, Marshawn Lynch, Will Fuller, Robbie Anderson, and now we're just waiting on DK to pick his or her next pick.
Oh, man. Everyone's so nervous to make these picks. They're just like, I don't want to mess up my team here. But honestly, people, this is exactly where you build your depth, and this is where you take those stabs at those potential superstars. There are going to be players in these rounds that do end up being, top 10 in their position. So you do find really good value here.
Right.
Just some of these people taking too much time to find that value.
This is what we in the business call paralysis by analysis. Basically, they're taking forever, and they've slowed the game down just a bit here.
Oh man,
I just can't decide. So Cooper Kupp, that's a nice PPR pick for sure. George Kittle, Kirk Cousins. Top Dog is up next with the fifth spot. He takes Devontae Parker, leaving a guy here that I was excited about. I didn't know if he'd kind of be around, if there would be a run at running back. I'm going to go running back again here, and I'm taking Duke Johnson out of Cleveland. They just gave him some money, Johnny. His role is defined in that offense. We both project that offense to be improved, but he pretty much has the pass catching role down. Mm-hmm. So I like him for PPR purposes.
All right, and then I'm going to check my tight end options here. It's getting down to the wire there. Not really in love with anything. I think I could wait on that. All right, I see an option here. I know I already have a lot of wide receiver depth, but the running back depth there, I'm not loving that much. And a guy that we've talked about as the number one in Dallas is Allen Hurns. So give me Allen Hurns. If anything, just build my depth a little bit more at wide receiver. But I do think now that I have done that, I kind of have dug myself, and I do need to take a running back here. And I like Aaron Jones. I'll be honest with you, Travis, I do like Aaron Jones. But again, I have Randall Cobb, and I don't like to draft two players from the same team. Now, here's the caveat. Green Bay Packers are an elite offense. So if there is a team that you wouldn't mind drafting two players on one side of the ball, it would be Green Bay. Luckily, somebody took that advice away from me again. So I'm going to go with the bell cow here. I know it's PPR, but Isaiah Crowell, he's fallen a little too far. He's going to be a bell cow they like to run it in New York, especially if they have a rookie quarterback starting week 1, which is coming out to be more and more possible. So give me Isaiah Crowell.
Yeah, I like that pick. And we were talking about Aaron Jones, and I think that Aaron Jones, Ty Montgomery, and Jamal Williams are all in the same area. So if you have a couple picks in these middle rounds, take a stab at a couple Green Bay backs and like secure that. Like Johnny said, it's valuable to have the number 1 running back in Green Bay. But for me, I'm going to go quarterback here, and a guy that has been seen throwing the football, and a guy that I think is elite if he's on the field, and that's Andrew Luck. I'm going to go ahead and take a stab at him here in round 9. I think you and I both agree that if Andrew Luck is on the field week 1, round 9 is an incredible value to take Andrew Luck at.
Especially because now you have that double dip with T.Y. Hilton and Andrew Luck. I love that play right there.
Correct, yeah. So I felt afforded to be able to do this because of the 4 running backs in a row that are all pass-catching backs. And 3 of them, the last 2 are defined roles in that offense. You think about Tarik Cohen in Chicago, Jordan Howard cannot catch the football, Johnny.
No.
He has the worst drop rate against for eligible backs. So I kind of like the way I've set up the team, and now we get to take stabs at guys like Andrew Luck, and then whoever else may be down here, whatever other goodies I could pick up.
You know what they say about Jordan Howard? He's a eligible back, $1 million boat. Can't catch a pass. No.
We need a drop that just has crickets going. You just look
I should get
look
that
like
one.
B Rabbit in 8 Mile before he got, back when he was choking.
Hey, maybe next time I'll get it.
All right, so I'm back on the board here. We saw a little bit of run at quarterback and at defense, surprisingly. So I'm going to look at wide receiver. I haven't drafted a wide receiver since my big 3 up there. We're going to have some depth down here. And for depth reasons, I am going to look at what we got going on here. You know what? I like Marquis Lee here. I think with Alan Hurns gone, there's a role to be carved out in Jacksonville, and why not Marquis Lee? I think he's a guy that could catch a lot of balls this season.
All right, so it comes to me, and at this point, I think I do want to get a quarterback. Now, what's interesting for me is Ben Roethlisberger is still on the board, and so is Phillip Rivers. We have talked extensively about how consistent Phillip Rivers is, but we both have Ben Roethlisberger projected to be a monster this year. And you know what? It's a mock draft. I want to see what it looks like. So I'm going to take Ben Roethlisberger and take that projected upside that I think he could have. And I'm going to go Ben Roethlisberger and hope that Nyheim Hines falls to me at running back here in this next pick, because I will take him so quickly. But based on my track record so far, okay, he did fall to me. I thought he was going to get chosen again. So I'm going to take Nyheim Hines here. I know I've got a lot of running backs, but you can never have too many running backs. And he's a converted wide receiver. So what's better to have in a PPR than a converted wide receiver at running back? And all the checkdowns that anyone could have if Andrew Luck is there.
So I'm looking at running back here for a little bit of depth, and I'm looking between Devontae Booker and Kris Carson. And I want to continue my trend with running backs, and that's playing the upside play here. And I'm going to go with Kris Carson. We saw flashes of what this guy could be. I mean, all the way from Pete Carroll to Russell Wilson to guys on the defense were speaking about how much they loved Kris Carson and his effort in last year before he went down with the injury. Give me Kris Carson, because if this guy can run hard and kind of get motivated by them drafting Rashad Penny, I like Kris Carson in this offense.
All right, so what we saw after Kris Carson, I like that. By the way, I like that pick, Chris. I think I totally agree with you. I saw a recent picture of him, and he is jacked. Like, he's a truck. But so Devontae Booker went after you, then the LA Chargers defense, and then we had Matt Ryan and Jared Goff. So with the Jared Goff pick, you have Cam Newton was picked in the 7th round, and then you're going to spend another pick on a quarterback so early when quarterback's so deep. Don't make that mistake, people. Do not do that. Take another shot in the dark.
Unless you're in a 2-quarterback league,
which we're not.
You can just pick up a quarterback off waivers if you get into trouble in the season. So yeah, I agree with Johnny.
But so that we do. Travis and I love when these situations, because people fall to us when other people do that. Guys that you don't project to fall to you, and you can gobble them up.
So another guy with upside in the running back position I like is Spencer Ware. He had a pretty crazy He had a pretty crazy injury last year, but he is still a very good receiving back. And if Kareem Hunt can't work on his receiving, as they were talking about, and get that under control, look for Spencer Ware to carve out some targets in that offense if he can get back from that injury. So
another guy I like here, I'm going to go Tyler Lockett. I'm just going for pure upside now because I got enough guys that I think are going to be consistent enough to start. Now I'm just trying to get that breakout wide receiver. And we've seen it kind of with Tyler Lockett before, and he's finally healthy again. Well, you don't think so?
No, yeah. I like that pick.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we've seen it before. So
literally, you can kind of throw a dart with any wide receiver in Seattle at this point. Like somebody's going to have to step up and be that secondary target for them, especially with Jimmy Graham down.
Mm-hmm.
So Lockett's shown flashes. I like the pick there. I think that's a good enough candidate as any in these back few to break out this year.
And then I will.
Are you thinking wide receiver again with your next pick, or
no? I think I'm going to go ahead and pick. So Cameron Meredith went off the board right before me. I do like Cameron Meredith, but I'm going to go with a tight end. I'm going to finally get my tight end, and David Njoku. I really like how this guy is panning up to be a sleeper this year. I think he's got enough weapons around him where teams can't necessarily target him or double team him. So he'll have a lot more one-on-one matchups with linebackers, and you have a quarterback that we've seen likes to target tight ends. So give me David Njoku as my tight end.
So I like that pick. I think it's a good value down here in the 13th. You can't really go wrong. So this is my last positional pick before I'm going to go with kicker and defense. So I'm going to go with another breakout candidate at wide receiver, and give me Kenny Golladay. He's got a lot of hype around him. They like him. He's big. He's fast. We know Stafford has been kind of hungry for a Calvin Johnson replacement, and now it's between Marvin Jones, your boy, in this mock draft, and Kenny Golladay. I got Kenny Golladay in the 13th, whereas Johnny had to spend a 5th-round pick on Marvin Jones. And as I do like Marvin Jones more than Golladay, but I think that, it's more like a 60-40% chance that it's Marvin Jones or Kenny Golladay. So I like the value that I can get Golladay at down here. And my wide receiver core is strong enough that I will not have to rely on Kenny Golladay for a lot of points.
Yeah, I do like Kenny G. I think that he does have a lot of potential, and we started to see a little bit of that last year, but second year is when we kind of see wide receivers pick it up. All right, Travis, you going defense or you going kicker first? We saw a huge run at kickers.
I am going kicker, and I'm going to stay in Detroit, Rock City. Give me the drunk kicker, Matt Prater. This guy can boot it from 60 yards out. I'll take it. And he can drink a beer like no other.
So Dan Bailey, always tried and true. I'm just going to pick him up. Kicker is a kicker to me. And he's on a decent but not good offense, is what I like to target when I'm looking at my kickers. And then obviously with my last pick, so Chicago defense just came off the board. And let's see. This is absolutely insane. I'm sorry, I got to rant here because I mean, this is going to be great for me because I'm about to pick Arizona's defense in the 15th round. But I do not understand why people don't. We are going to have a really good defense. It's going to be sneaky good. So I'm just saying.
Sneaky good, he says.
Yeah. So give me Arizona defense all day in the 15th round.
I am going to take the oh no, I'm not. Never mind. I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens defense, but it's gone. So I'm going to take the Detroit defense. That's mostly because in week 1 they play the Jets, terrible Jets. So give me the Jets.
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Yep.
Exactly. The Jets
Jets
just hope they can win a game, and I don't think it'll be in week 1. You know that Detroit was really good as far as fantasy and real defense last year, and Matt Patricia comes in on the head coaching staff. So I like them to at least put a whooping on the Jets pretty easy in week 1.
All right, that is the end. Travis, you want to run down both of our teams? For some reason, mine
for sure
disappeared off of the screen.
We're just going to go round by round here. Johnny Game Time Hicks took David Johnson in the first round. I followed him up by taking Antonio Brown. We looped around to the second round in which I auto-drafted Mike Evans. And then Johnny took Devontae Freeman. He then wrapped around, got Adam Thielen to finish out his third position. I took T.Y. Hilton. So a little bit of a different strategy in the first 3 rounds. I took 3 wide receivers. Johnny did a little mix of running back and wide receiver with running back heavy. If we go to the 4th round, I took Sony Michel. Johnny took Mark Ingram. So both running back consistent there. 5th round saw Marvin Jones go to Johnny. Ronald Jones, the second, go to me. The next round saw me take Tarik Cohen, followed by Johnny taking Jameson Crowder. Johnny then looped around and got Randall Cobb from the Green Bay Packers, and I swooped up Evan Engram at tight end for the New York Giants. We then had the long turn that came around. I took Duke Johnson at running back for the Cleveland Browns. Johnny took the de facto number 1 wide receiver in Dallas, and Allen Hurns. What a value there in the 8th round to get what we project to be the number 1 target in an offense. So then it came around, Isaiah Crowell, once again, another great value for Johnny in the 9th round, where he gets a bell cow for, yes, the crappy Jets that we just mentioned, but still their number 1 running back projects to be the lead back. And then I took Andrew Luck, who I think will not stay at this kind of ADP as news comes out that he's going to throw. But as he's here, I'm going to tell you that you need to be taking him right here because the value is tremendous.
Great pick.
Long turnaround. Then we have Marquis Lee, who I took out of Jacksonville. If anybody's got a shot to be their number 1 guy, it's him. Ben Roethlisberger was Johnny's pick at quarterback. He then turned around and took his sleeper pick of Nyheim Hines out of Indiana, out of the Colts. And then I took Kris Carson. It's a little bit of an upside play for Seattle. I think he can compete for the lead back job there. I think they can compete for a role, and that's Spencer Ware. I think that that's who I took next in the 12th round. I think that Kareem Hunt is not, the locked-in receiving back for Kansas City just yet. Tyler Lockett was a nice upside play for Johnny in the 12th. He then turned around and took a nice sleeper pick at tight end in David Njoku in round 13. And immediately after that Njoku pickup, I took Kenny Golladay, who I like as a breakout wide receiver candidate this year. I then took Matt Prater, his teammate, and the kicker extraordinaire in Detroit. Johnny followed me up with Dan Bailey, and then his hometown homer pick of the Arizona defense. I took the Detroit defense based on them playing the Jets in week 1. That wraps up our Mock Draft Monday. We want to thank you guys all for watching. Remember, this is a YouTube-only special, so please subscribe so you can get some notifications that let you know about Mock Draft Monday. Also, we will have Face Off Friday that will prepare you for your drafts. If you're stuck between a couple guys, we will help you make that tough decision. And as always, join us on Facebook Live on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time as we go live. And you guys can catch every episode of our podcast there or on Google Play, iTunes, and Stitcher. Well, for now, I'm Big Travy, and that's Johnny Game Time Hicks, and we're out.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Whisperers podcast. You can hear more from John and Travis on Google Play, SoundCloud, and iTunes. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at TF Whisperers.